Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Ruth O'Meara is our guest today. Ruth is a hiking guide, surf instructor, and the director of Leafy Green Tours, a bespoke tour company in Ireland. Ruth, so happy to have you here on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Howard. Delighted to be here and looking forward to our chat.
Fantastic. And I love the fact that you're in Ireland, I'm here in the States, and I love the international nature of doing these podcasts because I get to meet wonderful folks like yourself who are just doing some really cool things around the world. And this topic of wellness and health and nature, and obviously Ireland, you can't help but see all the beauty around. It's a great fit. And as for our listeners and just starting out, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us that high level view of who is Ruth O'Meara.
Sure. Well, I suppose I started with a business background. I worked in international business for 10 years. The last 4 or 5 of that, I spent traveling the world. I worked for an English language school in Galway and Dublin and used to travel all over the world. It could have been Brazil, South Korea, Mexico, Spain, Austria, Switzerland, you name it, promoting Ireland as a premium destination to come to learn English and study and work. And then that kind of all obviously slowed down, started 2020. So I thought, great, this is my opportunity to go qualify in the outdoors. And I suppose the blessing of that time for all of us, we really had to ground ourselves in our own surroundings. And we spoke a lot about staycations in Ireland, possibly you guys did too.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got the opportunity to qualify in the things I really loved, which was surf instructing, hiking guiding, kind of my first aid for hiking. And then I freelance guided and then ended up starting my own business, getting my own vehicle. So now I work with other guides in the industry to develop kind of bespoke tours that are a mix of hiking, walking, wellness, and the wellness industry in Ireland as well is booming. Outdoor saunas are a big hit. So sort of bringing in those elements to getting people into nature, getting people out of urban environments and just enjoying the great outdoors. And we're lucky in Ireland, we get the rain, so it stays green pretty much all year round. So
That's a wonderful story. I love the fact that 10 years in business and living out of hotels and airports. And I mean, I think COVID and the restrictions it placed on our lives really affected a lot of folks, much like yourself, perhaps even myself, in how the many different ways we could go about making a living and pursuing things that were really important to us because we never know what's going to happen. Had you always been an outdoor enthusiast? I mean, as a surfer, as a hiker, had that always been a part of your DNA just as you were growing up?
yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up surfing, but I grew up from the Midlands countryside, rural Ireland. So yeah, that was always natural to me. And then when I started getting into the working world, it was kind of like a bit of I suppose, a bit of a realization that that's just not tuned into a lot of the working world. And I think it's really tough on people. In Ireland, it gets dark in the winter. I mean, we have really long days in the summer, but in the winter, in say December, we get maybe 8 hours of daylight. So if someone's working in an office all that time, it's tough on people. It's tough on their mental health. So I was always kind of appreciative of the outdoors and how beneficial it can be. And I think we kind of all intuitively know that. But it was in me from growing up. And then it wasn't actually until I was in my 20s that I really got into surfing and actually started in Chile. I was teaching English in Chile for a year and just fell in love with surfing. And then I came back to Ireland and I realized, wow, this is one of the top surfing spots in the world. And it wasn't in my awareness growing up because I'm from the Midlands. So thankfully it's a small island. So you can be in the coast in like an hour or two from wherever you are. So yeah, just really loved it and felt the joy of being in the ocean, being in the salt water. And that's something that's also exploded in Ireland since 2020 is people are getting into the cold water immersion and cold water dips. There's tons of sea swimming groups around the country. So I think that is one blessing of that time of COVID. It was really tough on people. There was a lot of lockdowns in Ireland, but people started craving the outdoors and getting back into nature and realizing how important it was. So that I think that was a blessing that kind of shifted our perspectives. And for me, it helped me get really clear on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to spend my time. And I'm appreciative of all those years kind of traveling and working in different places. But actually, I'm really loving being able to kind of bring it full circle and show people what I appreciate about Ireland now, which maybe I needed to maybe go away to kind of see it with in a new light.
You know, that was not lost. You went halfway around the world to discover
Yeah.
learn surfing and apply your vocation, teaching the English, and there you come back home, and it's like, "I didn't know this," and all the rest
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
history. That's
Absolutely. Just wasn't in my awareness, wasn't what my friends or family were into. So yeah, kind of a revelation.
okay. Yeah, one other quick question, and I'd love to go a little deeper into the Leafy Green Tours and how that was evolving. During COVID here in the States, yeah, visits to our state parks, our national parks, county parks for that matter, skyrocketed. People camping in their cars. We call it car camping or boondocking here on public lands became very popular. Did that type of activity, did it become popular or had it always been popular in Ireland, just the camp out of like these small little vans or your car?
Hugely popular. I mean, yeah, camper vans are like they've all became sold out in the last few years. People are doing conversions to their vans. Just that lifestyle people are craving more and more, which is a kind of magic to see. But I suppose in Ireland, we had the Celtic Tiger in 2008, where Ireland's economy was doing really well. It was booming. People were moving into cities. There's a lot of multinationals moving in. So it was kind of, I suppose, created a buzz and it kind of brought people away from nature. And I think then there was a recession after that. So people had less disposable income to kind of be going crazy. And then the whole camper van thing and getting back to nature really has blown up in the last 5 years, and people are just realizing just the simple pleasures are what make you happy. You don't
Sure.
actually need that much stuff. So I think moving away from materialism, just spending time in nature. And I mean, there's tons of studies to back it up, but I do think we all kind of know it intuitively that we feel better. So certainly the camper van culture, camping, spending time hiking has really increased a lot, and the awareness of the joy of it and that it's more accessible than we maybe thought is really becoming a big thing and has become a big thing in Ireland.
Sure. There one of the pieces that you shared, with me in our questionnaire is a link to, the urban hiking and the some cities have their major park. It's huge, but then the importance of having smaller spaces spread throughout the community because just walking around a block that's a park, a small block, can be very therapeutic. Like after our call today, it takes energy to do the podcast, and it's like, okay, I'm done. Let me go for a walk and just decompress. Same thing in my day. It's wonderful that the parks are just so accessible over than just walking out your front door, and that's I was taken by that in that article you shared. Now, I'm curious, as you came back and you did COVID hit and you get to rethink your this career you want for yourself, what was the spark that said, "I'm gonna build a business. I'm gonna create Leafy Green Tours." What was that spark?
I suppose I think it was encouragement from colleagues. I had a few friends in the industry who'd set up their own businesses, and I got a call from a colleague and they asked me, did I want to buy a tourism vehicle? So a few years ago. So it just kind of came to me organically and
Mhm.
it felt natural from coming from that business background and then being on the road guiding and getting that inside track on the industry and how it worked and really getting to know all the trails and being familiar and all the guides. So it was just kind of organic. I suppose I always had a business mind, business background, but I hadn't really decided in 2020 that's what I was going to do. I was just really excited to get my qualifications and I found an incredible course with incredible tutors in Ireland on Achill Island where I could qualify in the outdoors, and I was lucky that it continued during that time. So I was really blessed to get all those qualifications across the line and then start freelance guiding. So it was pretty organic. And then I suppose I've always been someone who thinks about something I heard in a careers talk years ago was like your job is your employer's responsibility, but your career is your responsibility. So
Yeah.
I've always kind of see that as like your life resume is your career. So I never really cared about job titles. It was more about what skills am I learning from? What skills can I offer the world? What brings me joy? Because I always think when the joy is in alignment with what you're doing, you're gonna show up as your best self and be able to deliver. I think you're kind of in alignment with what makes sense for you. So yeah, it was pretty organic. Just kind of, I think you find, I suppose, what you love doing, what skills you have, and then what the demand is for, and you try and find the sweet spot, I suppose, between all of that.
I love it. As you started to go down this journey, being an entrepreneur, a business owner, what makes or what did you want Leafy Green Tours to be that was gonna be different than just anybody else taking people out on a bespoke excursion?
Yeah, like, well, I love seeing like a bit of transformation on someone's journey when they come on their vacation, and like I saw a lot of people coming through and kind of leaving maybe not really decompressing too much on their vacation. If they're doing kind of whistle stop tour, going everywhere, taking the photos, to me, it's still that busy, busy mode. And I think what's needed more and more is people need to tune out and de-stress. So I really wanted to create that kind of environment where people had permission to tune out, to turn off the news, to turn off the phone notifications, to actually spend a week actually having permission to turn off their brains from the constant chatter, to actually immerse in nature and kind of have everything sorted for them in terms of you're going to get a great hike today. Someone else is kind of checking the weather, figuring out the wind direction, figuring out what's safe, where the best views are. And you just got to tune into the guests and kind of see, what they're looking for and trying to help them get clear on what they want from their vacation, from they want that week or 10 days. So to me, it was more about that side of things, the transformation, the wellness, allowing people that space rather than just kind of whistle stop. Let's take lots of great photos for Instagram. I mean, obviously, you can get a lot of great photos, but maybe you can also kind of actually decompress a little bit and simple things like, I mean, having great playlists in the vehicle when you're traveling rather than news notifications. That just really helps you kind of create an atmosphere where things flow and someone is maybe working in the background to make sure they flow, but just allowing people that time to switch off so they can calm down. And I think nature does that for us naturally. But
Right,
if we're in nature and holding up our phone and looking at it while we're walking, which sometimes people do, you're just not going to be able to switch off like that. So kind of
right.
creating a space to encourage people to decompress a bit.
Mm. Where are your clients coming in from? Is it within Ireland, the UK, Europe, perhaps even over here in the States? Who's your ideal client? Where are they coming from?
It's 90%, 95% North America. Most clients are from the US, some from Canada. I've had a couple from Germany, but yeah, I'd say 95% the US, 5% Canada, and then a few people from Europe.
Wow.
Particularly because if people from the US and Canada generally would prefer not to drive in Ireland,
Right.
particularly you look at the roads behind you there on the West Coast, they're pretty rural. There's the other side of the road. I often get asked, are these two-way roads? And the answer usually is yes.
Okay.
So I've had clients from Nevada, where you're from, California, Florida, New York, Oklahoma, Ohio. So it's really interesting for me and for my guides because you learn so much about the different states and kind of the different personalities of the different states.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah,
What what is hardest for you and your team when it comes to perhaps it's the soft encouragement, like, "Put your phone away." I mean, we have it and I'm convinced this is an addiction, is
it
looking at my
is.
phone.
It is. Yeah.
What's it like to help people, like Put the phone away. Forget the Wi-Fi for now. Enjoy yourself. Go slow. Look, breathe.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and I suppose it's kind of encouraging people, not forcing people. Sometimes you will have someone who has to do a bit of work, and it's kind of, they might be on the phone every so often, kind of allowing people the space to what they need to do. But like a big thing is, even just when you're leading it, that you're kind of leading by example and you're doing things that are immersive. I mean, usually it just comes naturally. Like one time I had one lady who wanted to kind of play music while we were hiking, and I kind of had to gently say to her, we needed to respect, I suppose, the whole group and their choices. And if she really wanted to put in earphones, that was cool. But even just what I'm explaining to you now, when you kind of explain the ethos to people, they generally light up because people want that permission. But when I mean, I was in an airport a few months ago and I just sat without my phone and I looked around and every single person was on their phone. So it can almost be like pressure, like I should be on my
Mhm,
phone. What am I missing? So
mhm,
I think once you explain to people the intention, while not telling them they can't be on their phone, but just kind of explaining the ethos that they have this opportunity, people
mhm,
generally really crave that and want that because I think technology can be exhausting for everyone. And I think technology has moved so quickly, even the last, say, 30 years, and our
mm,
brains haven't changed that much in the last 30 years. So I kind of
right.
like, how are we supposed to process this? How are we
Mhm,
equipped? So actually just stepping away, I think we feel better. So I suppose it's kind of organic and natural, but you kind of try and explain to people the
mhm.
ethos of these type of vacations. And
Okay,
it usually is like a sigh of relief for people.
okay.
But it's not a hard rule. It's not like
Not a
you're
hard
not
rule.
shouting at someone if they have their phone out. Yeah.
When a potential guest client comes to your website and they're like, "Okay, we're in." Before we talk about the planning that goes on to get them to Ireland, to get them ready for the experience, what do you find the client needs to even to get ready before they even get to the airport? Because, I mean, I work long hours. I start early at 7 a.m. here. I'm probably doing some work on and off until maybe 9 p.m., and then I'm done.
A long day.
It's a long day, and I do take breaks, uh, I would imagine it's hard for somebody because they're so wound up and used to working, doing things. Is there like a recipe for them of maybe like a week before you're coming over, start doing some things, or are you waiting until they get there before you go, "Oh, by the way, this is what the experience is gonna be like."
Yeah, and like it depends on what they want to book, what level of like if it's a gentle walks or if it's kind of more serious, intensive hikes that they want to do every day. And at the
Mhm,
moment, it's just all small private groups come. So people are coming with their family or their friends.
mhm,
So it's kind of chatting to the person that's spearheading the vacation and just kind of that's initially. I mean, if they're not at a level where they're not exercising a lot and they want to do intensive hikes, it's kind of letting them know like this is how much training you need to be doing to get to that level. And as well, a big thing in Ireland is like we don't have a lot of trails. It can be rocky, it can be uneven underfoot. So that can be a challenge for people coming that they're just not used to the type of ground underfoot. So it's trying to make sure people are in alignment with what they're booking because I think you don't want to book something that's going to be stressful or too difficult. It's not about that. It's kind of like, I love that. I don't know if you know the diagram of your comfort zone is the middle circle. Maybe you've done this in leadership, that outside of that is your challenge zone. And then that outside of that is the panic zone. So we grow by going in and out of the challenge zone. You don't want someone in their panic zone. That's just stress. That's not enjoyment. So the way I try and prepare people is kind of figure out where they're at, kind of health and fitness wise and
mhm,
wellness wise, and kind of what they're looking for. And they mightn't be able to voice that. But once you've had like a Zoom call, usually a chat to kind of get clear on what they need and what they're looking for. And then if it's kind of they're looking for something to challenge themselves, that they start getting out for daily walks. But if they're in the position where that's not possible, it's kind of letting them know that that's okay. It's kind of booking something gentle at a level that they're at. And then it can take people sometimes a day or two to decompress, or I find in the first day or two, people might be kind of double checking everything and make sure everything's organized and on time. And I understand that because they don't know the guide or they just, so it's important that the guide on the day one shows up as and prepared and organized just to reassure people like we've
Mhm.
got this, we know what we're doing. But then generally people kind of learn to tune out. And maybe then by the last day, they're kind of like, what am I supposed to be doing today? Where am I going? Because they're kind of used to asking the guide what's next. So
I
then they
love it.
kind of have to wrap themselves up to figure out how to get back on that mindset of making sure they get to their flight and all that stuff. But you want to feel people comfortable coming no matter what their circumstances. If they're really busy and stressed and don't get time to decompress before they come, it's kind of trusting that, okay, well, that's what this time is for anyway. So if you can get out for some walks and do something that's good for your health in advance, obviously it all helps. But you're not going to be pushed beyond your limits. And I think that's something really important just from a safety and first aid
Sure.
perspective.
Very much so.
People,
And I like the long leisurely nature hikes, the climbing
yeah,
up over rocks sometimes. But I'm curious, and I'm sure you've had since the business has been running a lot of stories that you could tell about guest experiences, and you shared about the one guest had the music, and you had to gently say earphones or turn it off. What is one story that just makes you smile? Like this is what I was hoping for when I started this business.
sure. Yeah. Well, a year and a half ago, I had a lovely group of ladies from New York, four friends for New York. And they were just such a joy to guide. They were so much fun and there was so much laughter every day. And after maybe 4 or 5 days, one of the ladies said to me, she was like, I've woken up really happy here every day and hopeful. And she said, I haven't felt that in a long time. She came from a busy, really busy corporate environment, was stressed about things going on in the world and in her own. And like it just uplifted me to hear that. And it kind of reminded me of how blessed I am to be doing something that I love, that it can mean a lot to people. And I guess will often have tears in their eyes in the last day to just allow themselves this space in a very pressurized world. So it was lovely to get the feedback and you kind of see people in their happiest, which is amazing. And you kind of think, oh, they're always like this, but none of us are. No one is. The stresses and pressures of life can be so tough on people. So it's such a blessing to be able to kind of allow people that space and see how people can flourish when they have just that time and space to breathe, really.
Sure. I'm curious with the team that you have on board to support you, how do you share with them your vision, your values for this company? Because I mean, even the tour guides are they're different shapes and sizes, they're hardwired differently. And how do you ensure the folks that you're going to be bringing on board are aligned with what you've just shared, that we want our guests to leave with, "Oh my god, this is I feel so much better today than when I started."
Yeah, like I suppose it's true training, and I'm lucky to know so many guides in the industry who, with being members of Mountaineering Ireland and doing all your training, you just get to know people who you're on the same wavelength with, and you're going out for hikes and you're training and you're having these conversations. And it's interesting, a lot of people who actually become guides in the outdoors often kind of have an appreciation of wellness. So, yeah, it's choosing to work with the guides that kind of have that and kind of explaining to them, yeah, like just like that these things are prioritized. So it's just a bit of training because every company has kind of a different vibe, but it's choosing people to work with who I already know, luckily, and I kind of know how they operate. And like, yeah, there's a lot of great guides out there and a lot of them are freelance. So it's kind of knowing how people work, and I've just got to work with a lot of great guides, luckily.
Excellent, excellent. I would love, Ruth, if you could take us on a little tour of your website, if that's okay, and just
Sure.
show
Yeah.
some of the programming, and the photos that are on the website are absolutely beautiful. I think that one looks exactly
You
like your background,
Yeah, I have
but
a latte up there, yeah, yeah.
all right. So I am going to share my screen, and the miracle of technology, we should be seeing your website.
Oh, yeah, here we are, yeah.
There we are. So take us on a little tour. By the way, I love your logo. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I said I'd keep the leaves in there since we're Leafy Green Tours. Yeah, well, this is the homepage. I mean, if you scroll down, you'll see some videos of Ireland. It's kind of a brochure website since all tours are tailor made. People contact me to create the bespoke tours. So
Right.
we do have one sample tour up there to give people a flavor of what type of things they can book. But generally, it's a chat over Zoom like this to kind of create a bespoke tour.
Okay.
And then, yeah, if you maybe want to go on to the photos, or yeah, I can explain to what I explained to you just before the podcast if people are interested of this. This photo is Loch Tay. It's called the Guinness Lake because the Guinness family owned the estate, Logaland, County Wicklow, that it was on. It's a bog lake, but if you look at the top right there, there's some white sand that the Guinness family actually imported to make it look like a pint of Guinness.
Okay. Very cool.
And they would have
Uh,
had the Guinness family would have lots of very exclusive parties on the estate in the 1920s and 30s. The likes of Mick Jagger, members of the Rolling Stones were all over at these private parties, but it's been sold since. Yeah. So maybe if you want to go into walking and wellness tours, I have a
okay.
blog up there as well.
Okay.
This is just one example of a tour. I generally advise people to do at least 2 nights in each place just because people just need to rest and decompress. And if it's a one night
Yes.
stop, you're just not really getting to see the area. So, I
Right.
mean, like I have guided some of them in the past, and I just find people didn't remember sometimes where they were the previous day. So, this is just kind of usually what we do is we have, we chat to the guest and kind of choose hikes based on their fitness level and interest level every day. And then every
Mhm.
day there's going to be optional things like an outdoor sauna, seaweed bath, surf lesson, different choices. Because often in the group, you'll have people of different interests. So usually there might be a hike in the morning, and then maybe someone wants to go do a surf lesson, someone else do a seaweed bath. So we try and keep that bit of flexibility where the hikes and the accommodation are included. And then it's open as to where they want to eat and then the extra activities. So we'll have some of them
Mhm.
kind of tuned in every day.
Your guests, are you making the arrangements for them at each location? Like, here's where we're going to eat, here's where we're going to sleep, and they're responsible for the accommodation, or are you providing that as a part of your overall price?
Generally provided as part of the overall price, the kind
Okay.
of accommodation, the breakfast, and then the private driving and the hiking guiding. And
Right.
then generally lunch and dinner, we leave it open to suggesting. And it just seems to work best in terms of flexibility. So we'll always have a couple of choices in the area depending on how people feel, how much they feel like eating, whether it's a
Okay.
little boutique farmhouse cafe or a pint of Guinness by an open fire. It kind of allows people before they come, they can imagine what they'd like. But when you come, maybe you might want to shove things around a little bit, depending on when you meet your guide and the tips your guide will have on the
Sure.
ground at the time.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the hikes, 3.4 miles. I need to hike some more here. I'm curious, I'm being very selfish here.
Go
If
for
I
it.
was going to come to Ireland, by the way, I had one chance to come to Ireland a year ago, a part of an organization, the Outdoor Writers Association of America, and
Okay.
Travel Ireland. I think it was Travel Ireland.
Tourism
Uh,
Ireland, maybe?
it was your the country level tourism authority.
Tourism
Uh,
Ireland, probably. Yeah.
Tourism Ireland, and they invited us to come over for a tour for journalist tour, and one of my
Cool.
friends came over as a podcaster, but it was every day. It was go here, rush, 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 and it's like
Yeah.
that's nice, but I like to slow down a little bit. And so, if I was going to come for 5, 7 days, what would be the time of season you would recommend, or is it just depends if I want to be cold or warm or
Yeah, it
wet?
does depend if you want to be cold or warm. Like generally, it's March until October. So the hour changes in Ireland end of October. So today is the 1st of October. So it gets bright, say 7 in the morning, and it'll be dark by 8 p.m. in the evening at the moment. But that'll go back. By the time we get to December, it's dark at like 4:30 in the evening. So generally tourists come in the summertime. You do get rain all year round and you are in Fahrenheit. We are in Celsius, kind of up to the 70s in the summer. And then it can be down to freezing in, say, December, January, February. Like I have guided people in November and in February. It's just that making sure you have the right gear really
Okay.
in the winter months. And I've trained myself in January, and it's incredible when you are hiking in Ireland in January because you can actually get 8 hours of daylight. You literally have 8 hours, so you can get out for them all. But the tourism season generally starts around Easter or St. Patrick's Day, depending between those two somehow, and then kind of peters out in October. But it's something,
Gotcha.
it is expanding because people want to come in quieter times.
I That would be me. I just want a little quieter times. I want some good food.
Yeah.
I can't come to Ireland without a couple adult beverages in my, on the,
Yeah.
but
And then like
I
October can be good because it does get very quiet while where a lot of things are still open. Like you can get a lot of tourism centres that might close kind of by November until maybe March.
yeah,
That's something you have to watch for. But as I said, I've brought people around in November and February, and you just kind of just check opening times more so than you wouldn't need to in the summer.
I love it. I love these photos, and I mean, I lived in the UK for a little while, and like these
Mhm.
hiking trails in the middle of these looks like there's stone walls on each side of the road, uh,
Yeah.
carriage road, and I just love the photos.
Yeah, yeah, we're blessed with the greenery, as I said, because we do that get that bit of rain. We get rainbows and we get a lot of greenery. So we never really have to worry about irrigating the grass or anything here because
That's good.
nature
That's
does it
good.
for us.
And you've got some nice stories here. And I know you share this a link to one of your stories on Medium. We'll provide that link in our show notes. I think this is wonderful. You've got me sold. I'm all about slowing down. I mean, one of
Yeah.
the downsides of Americans is we're always rush, rush, rush to get things done. And I think we're slowly learning. COVID helped, as bad as it was, it helped us to learn to slow down just a little bit, which I appreciate. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us on the website, or should we go back to just you and I?
I think, yeah, we're good unless I think you've gone through, yeah, you've given, I
Okay.
mean, about us, you'll see pictures of, yeah, some of the guide's vehicle, but I think we've
Okay.
gone through most of it.
Okay. Very good. Excellent. Now, and for our listeners on the website, you're going to see an email to hello at leafygreentours.com so you can set up a tour with or a virtual call with Ruth or one of her associates and talk about planning your bespoke tour. So this is wonderful. Thank you for sharing the website with us, Ruth. This is great.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so let me stop sharing and technology, when it works great. All right. So I am curious, as after having seen the website and looking at the tours that are possible, as you kind of look back now and this impact that you're making with guests from all over the world coming to you, what's been your biggest aha moment so far of, wow, I get to really do this?
Yeah, I think it's when, people I've gotten some beautiful notes from people and cards on the last day, and just when people kind of have tears in their eyes. I had one lady in hiking the Wicklow Way, and I think she was a nurse in the US, and she just said like she didn't think she'd be able to do it. That was kind of her stress every day. So she needed more encouragement than the rest of them. And like it's always hardest to be the last in any group. Like if you're top in any class, that's the easiest thing to be. Like the resilience we build is when we're last. And I've been in that position, and it's a good position to be in when you're like, oh, I'm doing well in this area, in this other area I'm challenged. So I remember encouraging her, trying to coach her through that every day, trying to say, like, you are actually working harder here. And if people are hiking faster, they're getting more breaks. So it's always kind of, if the person who's kind of behind catches up, I actually will make a point of making sure we stop and chat for a few minutes, have a look at the view because everyone else has gotten a 10-minute break. This person deserves a break. So I think it's that satisfaction to realize someone has overcome something that they didn't think they could do, and helping them like build that confidence and kind of say, well, you're entitled to do this and enjoy it. And like the person who's kind of the fastest isn't the one who's challenging themselves the most. It's the person who's actually having to do that mental work to kind of build their own confidence. So I love that. I find that really satisfying when you see someone doing something they didn't think they could do. Or maybe at the start of the week, we're kind of thinking, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to do this? And be like, look, you did it.
I will tell you, I will probably have that on my mind if I were to come in and visit. But you have, like anything, even from a coaching perspective, you've got to lean into that fear and find little ways to work through it. And it's not one big thing you have to do, but if you break it up into small steps, small bits and bites.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think any good guide or coach should recognize that it can be such a mental challenge for people, and kind of making sure it's at a level that feels attainable and approachable to people, that they are comfortable, maybe being a bit challenged, but that it doesn't push people to a place of stress. That's not what it's about in my mind.
That's true.
We've enough of
Before we,
that.
oh yeah, before we head out, is there like a book, a quote, or something uh, that you'd like to gift our listeners with that has kind of resonated for you and your career journey and what you're doing today?
Yeah, there's a book I actually read recently. I literally just came across it in my local library. It was called Hitching for Hope by Rory McKiernan. Do you want me to spell his name, or will you?
I actually have it on our show notes, and I
Oh,
will
great.
have
Okay,
links
yeah.
to it, so no
Um,
worries.
and I loved it. So it's an Irish guy. I've never met him, but he was feeling. I think he wrote it in about 2012. He was burnt out in his career. He'd been working for a nonprofit. He was feeling a bit disillusioned with everything that was going on and not feeling particularly hopeful. So he decided to hitchhike around Ireland and just ask people about hope. And it was just incredible, the kindness of people, the interesting conversations that he had, how the whole journey flowed, how it brought opportunities for him in his life that he hadn't expected. He didn't plan on writing a book. He wrote a book about it. So it just kind of inspired me, and kind of reminded me when we kind of let go of control and think outside the box and just allow things flow about, you just never know what'll come to you. Our brains always just don't have the answer. And it just seemed to be that for him. He didn't know what the next step was. So he just went on this journey to ask people about hope. So it was a fun read people might enjoy.
Excellent. Well, we will provide the name of the book and a link back to a site where it can be purchased, and at least taking a look at it, perhaps at the library as well. Love those libraries. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we should be taking advantage of those.
Yep.
Before we head out, just a reminder for our listeners, your website URL, and because that seems to be the best place to find more about Leafy Green Tours. So where should folks visit?
Yeah, it's just www.leafygreentours.com, or email hello@leafygreentours.com.
Excellent. Well, we will provide those links in our show notes, and again, some of the links to some of the sites that you have selected for us as well. Ruth, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and it's your afternoon in Ireland, and but it's been a pleasure to meet you, and appreciate our friends at Podmatch for helping to facilitate these interactions. So, thank you again for spending time with us today.
Likewise, Howard. Lovely to connect and to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
Sounds good. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close, and you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, folks, we have just been chatting with Ruth O'Meara. She is a hiking guide, surf instructor, and the director of Leafy Green Tours, a bespoke tour company in Ireland. And this is not your typical buy a ticket to Ireland and go from site to site to site without really stopping to take in the surroundings, walk the trails, breathe the fresh air, sample some good food, hopefully, and drink some good adult beverages. But this is a chance to slow down, and it's like a slow holiday of sort. And what I love about the bespoke tour concept is you are literally designing with the folks from Leafy Green Tours a an experience that's going to be just right for you at your level and whatever level of challenge that might be. So do take a look at what Leafy Green Tours has to offer. We're going to provide links to it back in our show notes at leafygreentours.com. And I'll just, we'll also have some links to some of the stories about the importance of wellness and nature, and really even in your own local community, just getting out there and getting comfortable with nature. Just put the phone down, turn off your Wi-Fi, and just take care of yourself. Now, as for us, you can find this episode on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. You can find us on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The video of this episode will be up on YouTube, and this will include the tour of the Leafy Green Tours website that Ruth gifted us with. And of course, you can listen to this podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. So if you are out there walking on the trail, make sure you've got your headset going and the earbuds in, and listen to this wonderful podcast episode with Ruth. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a fantastic day, and we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care.